Well, President Trump says he wants to give his convention acceptance speech either from the White House or at the site of the Civil War battle in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The president floated the idea yesterday, setting off a heated debate on both sides of the aisle. Karl Rove is the former White House Deputy Chief of Staff under President George W. Bush. He is also a Fox News contributor. He joins us now. Karl, always good to see you. So it's either the White House or Gettysburg. Both apparently are controversial. Some saying the White House is the people's house and should not be used as a campaign backdrop. And then you have Bill Kristol, not necessarily a fan of the president, in fact, not at all, saying this about Gettysburg, quoting here, Trump speaking at Gettysburg, the good news, one, the prospect is more ludicrous than sickening. Two, the presumptuousness of the choice of location will backfire. Three, the world will little note nor long remember what Trump says there. And your thoughts, Karl?
Well, I do think there's a problem having the acceptance speech at the White House, which is the people's house and generally kept apart from politics. But in 2000, on his way to the Republican National Convention in Philadelphia, then Governor of Texas, George W. Bush, made several talks along the way, which were broadcast on successive nights of the convention. And the night before he gave his acceptance speech, he appeared at Gettysburg. Now, he didn't appear on the battlefield itself. There's private property right next to the battlefield, and my recollection is that he appeared on private property overlooking the battlefield, so you could see the monuments in the distance. But there is a difficulty appearing on national park land to do a political event. You have to go through certain processes, may be difficult to do, but there is private land near Gettysburg, so if the president decided to accept his nomination of his party, he could do so on private land overlooking the battlefield.
What about those who say that, using park rangers as political window dressing would be in bad taste, Karl?
Well, and if you do it on private land, you don't need park rangers. I mean, you surround yourself with veterans, or you surround yourself with people who have benefited from his policies, or you surround himself with people that he wants to, like in a State of the Union address, honor and describe to the American people. So I don't think that that you need to, just because you're overlooking a battlefield that is part of a national park, that you ought to or should be or need to be surrounded by National Park Service personnel.
What do you think about Democrats taking control of the Senate, the possibility of that, Karl? Because the numbers break down this way. They need a net gain of 3 if Joe Biden wins the presidency, and a net gain of 4 if he does not. Your thoughts on this?
Well, we always knew it was going to be a challenging year for the Republicans, because they've got 23 seats up, and some of them are in states like Maine and Colorado that were lost by the Republicans in the 2016 presidential election. I think it's very much up in the air. It's going to depend upon, in part, large part, the quality of the campaigns that are being waged by the individual Republicans. And it's also going to depend upon the president's standing in states like Arizona and Iowa and Montana, North Carolina and Georgia that he won 4 years ago. If he wins them again, then the Republicans stand a good chance of holding those seats. The Democrats have 2 seats that are up this year that they're at risk. One is largely considered gone. That's the Alabama seat held by Doug Jones, and the other one that's at risk is Michigan. So the Republicans have they can gain a little, but they got to be careful to make sure they don't lose enough to turn the Senate, the last line of defense for President Trump, over to the Democrats.
Yeah, Karl Rove, always good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Trace.